All right, so this is going to be a quick video all about nested conditionals in Python. And basically a nested conditional statement is when you have an if inside of another if. Okay, and the best way to probably teach this is using an example. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to teach it based on the example that I used last time involving speed limits. So I have this conditional statement right here. It says if the speed is greater than 55, if true, then it's too fast, false. If is the speed less than 40, then you're too slow, false, you're okay. So I'm basically going to be coding all of this. So you want to be between 40 and 55, according to this anyway, to say that you're okay. If you're going over 55, then you're speeding, it should output too fast. Okay, so let's see how this code would work. First thing we need is a speed variable. I'm actually going to use input on this. Let's just do input speed. Now what this is going to do, if you run this, it's going to ask for the speed here. If you notice, I didn't have a space here, so it doesn't look as good. I'm going to put a space in here. All right, let's just put 55. It doesn't really matter, and then you hit enter. And if you notice, nothing else happens after this because I just used an input. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to have it print to the screen to just make sure that it actually is equal to 55. So run this, 55, and then prints at the screen as 55. Okay. I also want to see what type this is, so I'm going to put type of speed, just to make sure that it is an integer. 55. Okay, now if you notice that this class is a string, we don't actually want this to be a string, so what I'm going to do is typecast this to be an int. So I'm going to put an int in front of it like this, and now it's going to force it to be an int here. So if I write 55, now it forces it to be an int. Awesome, so now we are good to go. It is always good to check that sort of thing when you're dealing with Python. Sometimes version changes and stuff like that. If you use the input method, sometimes that stuff changes. And you want to just make sure that you're dealing with the right data types for each of these. Okay, so we know that we are an int. So what I'm going to do is kind of comment this out because we don't really need it anymore, but it's good just in case we want to check. I'm going to keep it there. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is if the speed is greater than 55. Now the reason I'm doing that, if we go back to the flow chart, it says our speed is greater than 55. This is the first thing that it should run into, the first if statement, the first fork in the road, where the computer is actually making a selection, whether it's true or false. It's going to do something based on that. Okay. So if it's greater than 55, right away I can just print too fast. Okay, let's run it again. This time we'll put like, I don't know, 35, enter on that. Nothing happens because we don't have anything happening if it's less than 55. We only have it if it's greater than 55. If I ran this again and just did 55, nothing's going to happen as well. It has to be greater than. The next thing it says if it's false. So now we got to deal with this one. We already dealt with the too fast and it's done. That's awesome. But now we got to do the false here. If speed is if speed is less than 40 right here. So here's the code for going too fast, but we also need to take into account if the speed is not greater than 55. So we need an else statement here, and we're going to go to this speed right over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an else statement right here, okay, and then I'm going to have an if statement. If speed is less than 40, print too slow. Okay. Let's run it again. Only this time, let's do something that's, I don't know, like 35. Okay. So if speed is greater than 55, print too fast. It's not going to do that because the speed is going to be 35. Else, if speed is less than 40, print too slow. Let's run this, 35, hit enter, then it says too slow. Okay, so that's good. The code is working right now. And if you notice, we nested it. There's an if inside of an if here. Now, I could have done an else if, but again, the whole point of this section is nested conditional, so I do want to show you how you can have an if inside of an if. Okay, here I can have an else as well. Else, print you are fine. Okay. Or it says you're okay. Doesn't matter. Okay, you are fine. So if I run this here, now I'm going to pick a number between 40 and 55. So let's just do 45. I hit enter on this. It's not going to run this because it's not greater than 55. It automatically defaults to the else here. Else, if speed is less than 40, it's not. So it defaults right here to print you are fine. So I'm going to hit enter here, and it says you are fine. Okay, so that's basically all about nested conditionals with an example here involving the speed limit. If you have any questions about anything in this video, let me know.